Good morning, students. Welcome to your class of English. Today we are going to start our first chapter. The name of the chapter is The Selfish Giant. A giant who was very selfish. He thought about himself only. So let's do the summary of this chapter. The Selfish Giant is a short story about a giant who lives alone in his castle, which has a beautiful garden. But the giant was selfish and dislikes children. But when spring refuses to visit his garden, he learns to appreciate children and grows to love them immensely. So, what happens in the story? As the giant was very selfish, he lived in a big castle, and the castle has a very beautiful green garden also. In that garden, after coming from school, the children used to come there and play. But one day, when the giant saw the children playing in the garden, he was very angry. He scolded the children to run away from his garden. He scolded them that his garden will be spoiled, no need to come here again. The children were very scared, and after that day, the children did not come to that garden that was in the castle of the giant. And the giant, what he did? He made very big walls around that garden and put a notice board also that the one who will come here will be punished. So he was a very selfish giant. The poor children now had nowhere to play. They tried to play on the road, but the road was very dusty and full of hard stones, and they did not like it. They used to wander around the high wall when their lessons were over and talk about the beautiful garden inside. When they all sit together, they always talk about that how beautiful is the garden, but the man who is living there, the giant who is living there, is not allowing them to play there. Then what happened? Spring came, and all over the country there was little blossoms and little birds. Only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter, and the birds did not care to sing it as there were no children, and the trees forgot to blossom. Once a beautiful flower put its head out from the grass. But when it saw the notice board, it was so sorry for the children that it slipped back. Means once when all over spring was there and in the giant's garden there was winter, a flower came out, and as the flower came out, it also saw the notice board and it again went inside because children were not allowed to play in that garden. The only people who were pleased were the snow and the frost. Spring has forgotten this garden. They cried, so we will live here all the year round. The snow covered up the grass with her great white cloak, and the frost painted all the tree silvers. Then what happened? The selfish giant was very worried. He thought that everywhere spring is there and only in his garden there is winter. Snow is there, no beautiful flowers, no trees, no birds, nothing is there. The autumn gave golden fruit to every garden, but the giant's garden, there was nothing in that garden. Then one morning the giant was lying awake in the bed when he heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. It was really only a little linnet singing outside his window, but it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden. And as he saw in his garden, he saw that there were children playing in the garden, And as the children were playing in the garden, that's why the bird was singing in the garden. In every tree that he could see, there was a little child, and the trees were so glad to have the children back again, and they had covered themselves. In this way, the giant came to know that children are like flowers. As the children were coming in his garden, the garden was beautiful. And when the children they stopped coming in the garden, there was no beauty in the garden. So now the giant came to the garden. He loved them and allowed them to play in the garden every day. Now all the children were very happy. The giant was also very happy. This was the summary of the chapter. I hope you have understood it well. You will read this chapter again and find, if you find any mistake, any problem, you can consult to me. Thank you.